Welcome to Food Unfiltered. Today we're talking about pasta. This is one of the most popular reels that I have out there, sitting at over 6 million views. And as you can probably guess, it is one of the most hated and controversial. Why? Well, let's get into it. Actually, before we get into it, let's make a little disclaimer here. This is not medical advice. I am not your nurse. I am not your doctor. I am not your practitioner of any sorts, okay? I do not know you. I do not know your medical health history or anything that you have going on in your life. So please, please, please follow the guidelines from your practitioner. Let's use our common sense here, okay? Thanks. Now let's move on. Believe it or not all pasta is created equally. And even before I became a nurse almost 10 years ago, I continuously had these experiences and conversations with people in and out of my life who complain about having digestive issues with pasta, whether it's just, they feel really bloated and like crap afterwards, it weighs them down, they don't feel like they digest it well, they have celiac disease, whatever. It's always negative stuff. And I started to wonder, is this a coincidence? I mean, what happens in other countries where pasta is such a huge staple in their cultures, like Italy? Are they having these same issues? What's going on with all of this? Before tapping into research and just going off of personal exchanges with people in and out of my life and throughout my career, I always heard these two similar stories being repeated over and over again amongst the people that I would talk to. And it would be something to the effect of, oh, I can't eat pasta, I have celiac disease or something, but I went to Italy and I was able to eat all the pasta and pizza that I wanted and had zero issues. Or I ate so much pizza and pasta for the 2 weeks or month or whatever it was that I went to Italy, and I actually lost weight. Can you believe that? Now, those are some pretty crazy claims. So again, kind of got me wondering, what is going on over there that is not happening over here, or is it just a coincidence? For my first question, I really wanted to know, is celiac disease just a United States issue, or is it just as prevalent in Italy and we are both experiencing the same things? You just hear about it more in the United States. And from what I could find, celiac disease is just as prevalent in Italy as it is in the United States. So they do have that in common. And similarly to the United States, there's actually been a really huge rise in cases in celiac disease, both in the United States and in Italy over the last 20 to 25 years. That was pretty interesting. So what's going on there? Take a step back for a second. Let's talk about what celiac disease actually is. According to the Celiac Disease Foundation, it is a serious autoimmune disease that occurs in genetically predisposed people where the ingestion of gluten, the protein found in wheat, leads to damage in the small intestine, and it is estimated to affect 1 in 100 people worldwide today. But 25 years ago, those odds were significantly less, coming in at approximately 1 person in every 1,000 to 2,000 people worldwide developing or having celiac disease. So we're essentially saying in 25 years, someone is up to 100 times more likely to have celiac disease or develop it. Y'all, that's crazy. So what has changed in the last 25 years? Well, since the early 2000s, technological advances have occurred to where the temperature at which we tend to dry pasta in the drying process has increased from about 75 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius, where it once used to take up to 48 hours to dry pasta, it can now be accomplished in 2 to 3 hours. And what has this essentially led to? This has led to mass production at much higher rates. What is this doing to the pasta? Well, several things. For one, it's actually changing the protein structure of the pasta. You have cross-linking occurring and other reactions with compounds in the ingredients, which is having an effect on the digestibility and the antigenicity of the pasta. So in other words, we're actually making this pasta harder to digest and making it, for some reason, more susceptible to the body to be seen as an antigen, which then creates an immune response or a means of an allergic reaction. Yeah, that sounds good. Anyway, let's talk about the pasta making process. Simply put, pasta is made by mixing your ingredients together, cutting out your pasta, hanging it to dry. That is how pasta is made. Really easy, really simple, right? However, ingredients, the quality of those ingredients, and the drying process very much matters in distinguishing between a low grade, low quality, lacking a nutrient versus a high quality, nutrient dense pasta. Let me give you a couple examples to go off of. One, at minimum, you're gonna have a pasta that is gonna be either semolina or durum wheat mixed with water, and then you hang it to dry, okay? And the drying process is gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna go low and slow, or it's gonna go fast and hot. So low and slow is going to be, it's dried at a lower temperature and it is dried for a longer period of time, up to like 48 hours. Whereas the hot and fast is going to be at much higher temperatures, speeding up that drying process and done in a much shorter span of time, which is like 2 to 3 hours-ish. When you're using a low quality semolina or durum wheat that is enriched, such as with the brand Barilla, and you're conjoining that with a hot and fast drying system, you are completely eliminating all nutritional benefits from that pasta. You are stripping it of its nutrients, whether it's protein, minerals, vitamins, fiber, you name it. That pasta is now just a simple carbohydrate and has no nutritional value to you. And interestingly enough, this also gives the pasta that really rich yellowish, goldish color that you often see on the shelves, which is a very first initial big indicator to a low quality pasta before you even look at the ingredients. But on the flip side, if you're going to be using a high quality semolina or durum wheat with a good quality water that's filtered and whatnot, and you're using the low and slow process, you're going to have a pasta that has all of its nutritional value intact still. And that is what's going to be most beneficial to your digestion and health, period. So the pasta that I use as my example in my reel, the Barilla, that is made with semolina and durum wheat and fortified vitamin, but it's enriched, people are going nuts about because they're like, it's the same thing, it's the same thing, it's the same thing. No, it's not the same thing. The only reason why I would say Barilla is a good pasta, which it's not, is because of how accessible it is. You can be in very rural parts of Italy or even the United States, and you can essentially expect to be able to at least have that available on the shelves. Just because it is vastly available to the masses does not make it a good quality pasta. Sorry, not sorry. Taking it a step further, I talked about enriched. What does enriched mean? It's everything I pretty much just said leading up to this. It is a wheat, whether it's durum or semolina, that has been highly processed and refined and stripped of all of its nutritional value, and it is now to its core a simple carbohydrate. What do simple carbohydrates do? They spike your glucose. What happens when your glucose spikes? Your pancreas pumps out insulin. If you continuously have this pattern over and over and over again, like the standard American diet, you are going to kill your pancreas. You're going to have insulin resistance. You're going to have blood sugar issues. You see where I'm going with this? Diabetes, things like that. That's problematic, okay? Then on top of that, because you stripped all of its nutrients, you have to add it back in. It is now fortified. You're adding synthetic minerals and vitamins back into your pasta to replace the nutrients that you just removed from it. Your body is not going to process that the same. Your body is not going to digest or absorb that nutrients the same way it would have if it was in its natural state in the pasta, if they just dried it properly and used proper ingredients. If you now know how crappy this process is, and it's so much easier to get a better quality pasta at the same prices, why not? I truly couldn't care less about the crappy labels that exist out there that this is high in protein, this is keto, this is gluten-free, blah, 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 blah. None of that matters to me if the quality of the ingredients to make it, the building blocks of that pasta, are absolute utter garbage. Doesn't matter. Don't be fooled by the gimmicks. You can get your protein in other ways. Just add some ground beef into it. You're going to be okay. My biggest issue with all this is, why are we selling ourselves short? Our nutrition matters. Our bodies matter. We have to take care of our bodies so our bodies will take care of us. Last but not least, let's talk a little bit about organic versus non-organic. According to USDA standards, all organic food has to be GMO free and synthetic pesticide free. So that means no glyphosate, aka Roundup, okay? That is a big deal, and that also has an impact on the quality of your food and the nutritional value of your food, believe it or not. Now, we're not using GMO wheat, period, whether it's organic or not, so that's not as applicable to this particular case, but the pesticides do. If you're not purchasing organic pasta, know that according to wheatworld.org, there are 4 potential uses of glyphosate involving wheat. This can be applied before planting the seeds, at the time of planting seeds, or after the crop has been pulled. And sometimes, in some cases, if there are certain pests present or diseases or whatever going on, they can actually spray it during the growing process. So nonetheless, even if they are spraying it when the crop isn't around, that's still getting into the soil, and the plant grows from the ground up, so it's going to be pulling that into its roots and into itself. I mean, it's kind of inevitable. That's common sense, right? I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all that because that's a completely different post that we can go into at another time. But moral of the story, you don't want glyphosate, period. No. So for final thoughts and comments, the biggest rebuttal I probably get on my post is people sitting there and saying, oh, stop it with this nonsense. The only reason why anyone's losing weight in Italy is because of the portion size and how much they're walking. Yes, portion size does matter. And walking obviously does have an impact on things, but you cannot deny that the quality of the food that you're eating is not impactful. If you're feeding your body nutrients, your body is going to be able to absorb that and break it down properly and function properly. If your body is functioning properly, it gets to heal itself, it gets to fix itself, and it gets to get rid of excess weight. It kind of goes hand in hand. So if you are eating like crap, your body is going to work like crap. Therefore, you're going to hold on to weight and have all these health issues. If you are giving your body the nutrients that it needs to function properly and to digest things appropriately, your body is going to be able to metabolize and regulate itself a lot better. If you follow a healthy lifestyle, it's actually kind of inevitable, especially if you are overweight and unhealthy, you are going to naturally lose weight. Like, it's inevitable. I'm a living example of that. 100%. I could share my story later. Moral of the story, it's not hard. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to give your body what it needs to have a happier, healthier you. Things don't have to taste like crap to be healthy. Things can taste absolutely amazing and be much better quality. Just allow your body to take care of you. And remember, if you like this post or have any thoughts in regards to it, I'm happy to hear it all. Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to follow if you enjoyed this content. See you on the next episode of Food Unfiltered.